Welcome, beautiful people, to Super High Priestess. I'm your Super High Priestess. Today we're going to talk about a very controversial subject: abortion. It has changed. It has changed the past few years. We have a very conservative Supreme Court justice. Yay? I don't know, man. I don't know. I've been hearing stories. Let's hear what the people have to say.
All right, y'all, why am I pro-choice and why will you never be able to change my mind? This is why. I'm going to tell you a story, but first I'm going to warn you about this story. It's graphic, and if you don't want to hear it, please keep scrolling because this may not be the video for you if you are faint of heart. All right. 11:42 a.m. One day I get a call for a 1-year-old not breathing. Dispatch advises me along the way, hey, also, the caller seems to be a child. If there is anything that will make your gut churn and the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, it is that right there. We get on scene and come to find out we're 2 houses short of where we're supposed to be because the caller is 4 years old. I go sprinting into this house past the 4 mangy, vicious dogs outside, no door on the house, make entryway while my partner moves the truck to find a police officer rubbing a little small baby boy's back. He says he has a pulse. Great. I see dirt floors. I see trash everywhere. I see no adults. I start yelling, where are the parents?
These are all red flags.
Two crackheaded ass women come emerging from the back. And I say that with absolute certainty that they were, because one still had a loaded syringe and the other still had a fucking tourniquet on her arm. All right. I scoop up this child. That's all I need to see. I don't need to ask them any fucking questions. I don't care. I care about this baby because I care about life. All right, scoop him up. We take him outside. Officer stays to get more information. He later comes back with the kid's information. He also tells me that mother believes that he choked on a popsicle. No, sir, because the only thing I see in his mouth is blood, and popsicles don't usually cause those. Nor is there any popsicle stains down him, his body, or in his diaper, since that's all he was fucking wearing. Okay, go get me the real story. Father...
So obviously these kids are being neglected because they live with a bunch of junkies. Their parents sound like they're addicted to drugs. Great.
Gets on scene, makes his way into my truck, tells me to lay hands off of his fucking child, that he will do with him what he pleases.
What a psycho.
No, sir. No, sir. We're not doing that today because the only thing standing in between your son and the gates of heaven right now is me. So that's what we're going to do today. You can get the fuck out my truck. Thank you. So as we forcibly remove him from my truck and we continue to bust our ass and go to war for this baby,
Yeah.
we get a pulse and he's breathing. And we go to the hospital, right? We stop at their helipad because I already had air medical on the way. They're already en route. They were waiting by the time we got there. When I say it's a thing of beauty to have every intersection in our town blocked off by cop cars and to drive there, and this was the most beautiful call I'd ever ran. It is one of the best ones in my career. It really was. This child lived. Air Medical got him to their facility and he was stable. He was so fucking stable they let him go home 6 hours later. And when I tell you that it breaks my absolute heart that the next day I got a call from one of my coworkers saying that that child died at home in the care of his parents at 3:27 p.m. You can make people birth babies. You can't make them be parents or mothers.
That's a heavy one. That is a heavy one. This is what conservatives don't understand. I'm an independent. There are problems with both political parties. Both. There are great things about both political parties. One thing that the conservative side doesn't seem to understand is that not everyone should be a parent. Not everyone should reproduce. There are going to be people who are huge pieces of crap that will never get their shit together, that will never be responsible. It sounds like who this amazing person and hero, frankly, has interacted with some real, not stable people, okay? Look, I'm not saying everybody that does drugs is a scumbag. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if you have people who are severely addicted to drugs, they should not be reproducing typically. They're not in a great place to be parents. And if you have kids in a situation like that, they are neglected. They typically don't get the care they need. They're starving. They're not clean. Some people on this planet just shouldn't have kids, and that's okay. In our society, there is such a casual attitude about having kids. Like, what do you do in life? You just grow up, you go to college, you get married, you have kids. Some people should stay single for life. Some people just want to have serial relationships. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's really problematic. Everyone should have a child because that's just not the way society is. How many billions of people do we have on the planet now? I think we have enough people. We have enough people. And the other problem going on is conservatives trying to restrict Roe versus Wade so that people will be forced to have children. PewResearch.org. I didn't make this up. The vast majority of women who had abortions in 2021 were unmarried, 87%. Okay, conservatives tend to think, and statistics show, that you have a better chance for a kid in a coupled relationship if they have two parents. Typically, that's just the way it is, okay? So if you have an unmarried person and they're having a child, statistically, it's a little bit harder. And I have had children. I am so grateful for my husband. I have seen single women raise children. It is massively difficult because they have to be everything. If they are supporting children, they have to provide money. And I hate the old adage of, well, all you need is love to have a kid. No, you need money because everything costs money. Diapers are not free. Food is not free. Shelter is not free. Nothing is free, okay? Usually one income is not enough. You need two mother freaking incomes now. You need two. Have you seen the economy? Have you seen the cost of living? It is incredibly difficult to do it by yourself. I don't know how single women do it. They are amazing. I don't know how they do it. So there's 13% are married women. I know of one married woman who had an abortion because the baby was severely deformed with a case of spina bifida. The worst. That baby, had it been born, would have been condemned to a life in a wheelchair, having 24-hour care, not contributing to society. I'm just saying it like it is. This child would have had a terrible quality of life, basically drooling in a wheelchair. Why did my good friend have to cross state lines in order to abort that baby? Because she lived in a red state that would not have allowed her to. If she had had that baby in a red state, she would have had to birth the baby to term, and that baby would have had to undergo a series of surgeries by law to prevent the baby from dying, even though it was born with severe deformities. Red states, gotta love them. Typically, most women don't have an abortion, okay? Thank goodness, because having an abortion isn't like, hey, let's go to a day at the spa. No, it is a heart-wrenching decision for women who have had to do it. I've never had to do it, but I have several friends and family who have. And I've talked to them. And it is not a lightly made decision. It is a very serious decision. It's like a last resort decision. It's not taken lightly. It should never be taken lightly. It's a serious thing. Now here we get to the nitty gritty. Why? Why do women have abortions? And this is going to lead me to the other thing that some of you might not like. The reasons most frequently cited were that having a child would interfere with a woman's education, work, or ability to care for dependents. Who knew? Who freaking knew? Because having a kid costs money. You can't live off of love. You can't live off of love. You need to provide for that kid. And the kid deserves it. The kid deserves to have a comfortable life. If you are going to be born in poverty, typically you stay in poverty. This makes me so mad. Okay, so 74%, it's because they wouldn't be able to adequately finish their education. And you usually need a good education so that you can get a good job and provide for yourself and your kid. The next one, 73% said affordability. You can't afford a baby now. They're very expensive. It costs about 200,000 to 300,000 to support a child. And I think that's a low end. That's a low ball. The next reason was she did not want to be a single mother or was having a relationship problems, 48%. So they wouldn't even have a stable partner in the home. That does affect kids. I have seen people who are single really struggle to have a stable home. Those kids typically have more problems. They are a more vulnerable target for skeezy men who want to come in and, abuse either the mom or the children. So it's not a great situation. Sorry, this makes me... All right, let's get back to the video. Let's keep this party going.
I'm 12 years old. I attend Buffalo Middle School. I play for varsity volleyball, and I run track. My education is very important to me, and I plan on doing great things in life. If a man decides that I'm an object and does unspeakable and tragic things to me, am I a child supposed to carry and birth another child? Am I to put my body through the physical trauma of pregnancy? Am I to suffer the mental implications? A child who had no say in what was being done with my body. Some here say they are pro-life. What about my life? Does my life not matter to you?
Here's my opinion, okay? First of all, I think whether or not someone has an abortion is a very personal thing. Very, very personal. It is a life, okay? It might not be a baby yet, but it is some kind of a life, okay? Bacteria is a life. There are different options. Yes, you can terminate the pregnancy. You can carry it to term and give the baby to a family who wants it. Sure, that is a huge sacrifice, but it can be done. It depends on you and how you feel, and as a woman and what you want to do. There are dire circumstances. Like I said, I know someone who had a baby. She did everything right. She took her prenatal vitamins. She did everything right, and the baby still had huge severities in spina bifida. I can't even imagine what that was like for her. Terrible, horrible. And there are women who the baby dies inside of them and they still can't get a D&C, which is totally reasonable to be able to get, but they can't because laws in that red state are so nonsensical that they can't get it taken care of. They just can't. Or the baby is doomed, even to full term. So pregnancy is so difficult as it is. And to ask a woman, hey, you know how your baby is going to die anyway, or be born and only live for a few hours and then die anyway? Well, we're going to make you carry it to term. That is cruel. That is cruel. And then to ask someone not only to finish that pregnancy, but then to give birth and then suffer through the baby dying anyway. I get it. I understand, because I used to be very pro-life. I was pro-life no matter what, because I thought no matter what, it's a baby. But there is nuance in all of these situations. Always. And it is a personal choice. If you don't believe in abortion, don't get one. But are you going to help somebody raise a child once they get here? And if the answer is no, it's none of your business. Okay, so we're going to end on a good note. This is actually a beautiful story, because the thing is, yeah, I'm pro-choice. I am pro-choice. If someone wants to get an abortion, that is none of my business. I think it would be sick in the third trimester to have one, because, hey, why? You might as well have it now, right? 7, 8, 9 months. All right. But if someone does want to have a child, that is great. That is great. And then the child gets here. We should all be very supportive of that person. It should be a personal choice. It should be a hell yes for that baby if that person wants it. And if there is a child that is born into this world and is not wanted, that child feels it, that child knows it. And it seems like the Republicans want people to have children because this is my opinion. I'll tell you guys right now. They want to be able to have a huge workforce in poverty because that is typically who is born into unwanted abortions, children into poverty. They typically don't get out of it. And those Republicans want more children that become adults that either go into the prison system or they work their low-wage poverty jobs. Just my opinion. It's amazing. But let's end on this beautiful note here.
3 abortions, and I was hopeless. I was fearful. I was having a hard time grieving the loss of my children, realizing that I had to accept the fact that they died at the hands of the one that was supposed to protect them. Quick story. I chose life here. This is my daughter, Deja. Her name means alive, she who lives. I was going to have an abortion with her because I didn't know who her dad was. That was one of the reasons. And the gentleman that I thought was her dad named her. 21 years old, she looked up her name and found out that it means alive, she who lives. Thank you, God. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. And she made the decision that she wanted to keep her child. No one made her do it. No law came in and said, you better do this. No leader of a church came and made her do it. She chose to do it. And it turned out to be a really great result in the end. But it had to come from within. Anyone who makes any decision that they're at peace with has to come from within. It has to. It can't be, well, someone coerced me into doing it. Someone pressured me into do it. Usually those types of decisions are resentful, regretful, hold bitterness inside. It's not the way to go. It has to come from within the person. That's when the best outcome happens, is when it comes from within. And if somebody makes the decision to have an abortion or to not have an abortion, should really come from within them. It should be a very personal decision. It should not be based on what the government says. The funny thing about the ban on abortion that happened came from men who have no idea. They have no idea what it's like to be pregnant. And yet it's them who decide if it should be or not. Now, the Supreme Court justices, some of them are female, so I'll give them credit for that. But man, when I was a teenager and I saw pregnant women, I thought they were super cute and, oh, it's going to be so fun to be pregnant and have a baby inside of me. Yeah, there are some really great things about being pregnant. It is amazing to feel your child move inside of you. I loved that part. It is amazing when they're here and you can snuggle them and nurse them and be close to them. It is a beautiful and amazing thing. However, it comes with a great deal of sacrifice, uncomfortableness, hardship. It is not as easy as I thought. And no one should be forced to do it. Based on where they live, they shouldn't be forced to have a kid. I'm going to make another video about this because we hardly touched on anything. We didn't touch on education. We didn't touch on contraceptives. We didn't touch on so much. So kind of a heavy one, but it needs to be talked about because this is a huge issue. And the majority of Americans believe some kind of abortion should be legal. It's in the 70 percentile. 70-something% of Americans believe abortion should be legal. That should tell you something. That really speaks volumes. And yet, we have been having problems in our country because of this. So, I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.